Good evening and welcome to Workstation Wednesday. If you saw my promo, you know that tonight it's hammer time, and I'm going to show you a quick little workstation that you can do to get your kids hammering in some of those skills that you want them to learn. Before I get too far into that, I'll just introduce myself for those of you that may be new to Workstation Wednesdays. My name is Tracy King, and I also am known as the Bulletin Board Lady, and I have a really weird hair thing going on there. I'm also known as the Bulletin Board Lady, and I blog at mrskingrocks.blogspot.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Tracy King or as the Bulletin Board Lady. And of course, if you're watching, you've found me on Facebook. So I'm using these Wednesdays during this school year to share with you some of my ideas for using workstations or centers in the music classroom. So some weeks I'll share a lesson and then show you how I use that as a springboard to create centers. Some weeks I may not do a live video, but show a video tutorial that I've created. Some weeks I may post a product, other times a freebie or a new blog post. Tonight, I'm going to show you a quick center to make from one of my favorite places, Dollar Tree, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let's get started. I am always looking for new ways to put the thrill into the drill of learning pitch names, note values, those kind of things that just on their own can be a little dry, even for me. So I found if it's an activity that I like to do, then I bet my kids will like to do it, because it turns out I kind of have like the mind of a really immature junior high boy. So that totally works for me. So for this workstation, you're going to need a foam garden kneeling pad. These are the kind that you like put down in your garden so that you can kneel on them and not make your knees hurt and get all muddy and wormy and what have you. And right now, it's coming to the end of the season in a lot of places. So you can get these online in some places. My Dollar Tree still had a few of them, but you may have to look for an online source if you can't find them being clearance or on sale right now. So again, I got mine at Dollar Tree, and I actually bought a bunch of these a couple of years ago after Artie Almeida's Kid Sticks. I was thinking, the thing with the station. So instead of using like the hard board, like she did the hard plastic board, I decided to use the foam board because it was a lot quieter and I could find enough of them at the right time, whereas the other boards I wasn't able to find in my local store. So I bought a bunch of these and I've been really satisfied with them so far to do kid sticks, but I did have quite a few extra ones. And so I saw a post from another dollar store that was using these as a manipulative for a classroom center. And I am always being inspired by ideas for reading and math centers for primary grades, especially turning them into some meaningful music workstations. And so this is one, at least, well, I have to be honest, I have only tried this with a couple kids. I haven't actually done this with rotations yet because I just was inspired this week and I'm only just starting my third rotation of students, and I really like to wait and do workstations every fourth or fifth class period so we have something that we can review in workstations as well, because that's kind of how I like to set mine up. Okay, so you need this. That was a really long story to tell you. You'll need one of these foam kneeling pads, or you need something like it. So maybe some foam sheets that you've done, like something's come in, like some packaging. I haven't tried this with foam core board, like the kind that you would use for presentations, but I expect that would work pretty well too. If you have any other ideas for something that might be similar to this, definitely post them in the comments so that, well, first of all, because I may go out and buy me some, but there might be others that would want to use those ideas too, especially since these are going out of season right now. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Amazon, but they're not $1. They're like $2 or $3 or $4 each, and we're just going to hammer the snot out of them. So it may be better to try to find some of those cheap ones, or maybe even ask around. Maybe someone else has some of these laying around for some weird reason. I don't know. Okay, so you need these, and you need some golf tees. And golf tees for you non-golfers, I'm a non-golfer too. They're just the little pegs that they push in the ground and you put the golf ball on top of. And I bought the cheapest ones possible because I'm not really playing golf with these. I am just going to use them as nails. And they don't really have a very sharp end. It's pretty dull, so it's not likely that kids are going to get hurt if they poke themselves with this. They would really have to put some pressure on that. And if they're doing that, then they probably need to be motivated by the principal anyway. Okay, so you need some golf tees. These are the ones that I bought. These were, let me shut up here. These were at Walmart, and they were, I don't know, a few bucks. I don't remember. It wasn't too much. So I have those, and then you'll need a hammer. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my God, Tracy, why would we give our students weapons to use as learning manipulatives? I know, right? And so I pondered other ways to do this, and I haven't really come up with any. So I went to find the smallest hammers that I could, lightweight, the least dangerous to use, and of course cheap, because, you know, I'm kind of a cheap old lady with a junior high boy's mind. This is really turning into Confessions with Tracy, isn't it? So anyway, after searching dollar stores, Dollar General did have hammers, but they were like the big, heavy kind, and I needed a little bitty hammer. Is cute, isn't it? I think I'm gonna name them. They're so cute. Anyway, this is a kid's hammer that I found at Lowe's. Actually, I didn't find it. I went in and I asked the first guy to show me where the hammers were, and he sent me to the wrong aisle. I'm thinking he's probably new there. And then as I'm walking to the front thinking, oh my gosh, I should just leave. I'm not going to find any here either. There was another man, kind of a burly kind of guy. And I'm like, excuse me, I need a little hammer. And he's like, how little? And I'm like, yes! Anyway, so it took a really long time for him to walk around the store because he was looking for the kids' tools display. This is a Build and Grow kids hammer from Lowe's. And up at the top of the video, there's a link to some resources that I talk about tonight. And the link to these cute little baby hammers are there as well. I can't believe that there's not a dollar store somewhere that doesn't carry these, but my dollar stores, and I've tried 3 or 4, they didn't have any of the little kind. They had the bigger ones. Bigger ones, bad. I can hardly carry those without hurting myself. These are awesome. They're still made of metal though. I mean, it's still hard, and it does have the claw, which if that becomes a problem, I'm thinking that I might just shove it, the claw end into like a tennis ball or something so that edge isn't there. Again, not incredibly dangerous, and I'll stay on top of this to make sure the kids are doing what they're doing, but it is a tool, so you've been warned. Okay. So then I thought, what skills do my kiddos need to practice? Well, currently I'm teaching 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And so we do a lot with naming the pitches of notes. And even though we start that in 3rd grade, 4th grade seems like we start almost all over again. And 5th grade, I'm pretty sure the summer before 5th grade, sometime when the kids are in the pool, it like totally washes all of that away because it feels a little bit like we're starting over with 5th grade too. So I'm always needing some things to just drill that. So my first thought was to take some worksheets that I already have. These are from the worksheet bundle that's for September. I think it's the back to school one. And these are pages where kids just name the note that's on the line or the space. And there are some more there. And so I thought, okay, well, that could be fun. What I could have them do without having to create something totally new is that I'll have them go ahead and name the note, and then I'll have them add an extra step. Because when I use worksheets and workstations, I have the Jedi kid that's finished in like 30 seconds, and then the special learner kid that really can do maybe 1 or 2 lines in the 7 to 8 minutes that I have there. And that's just because they're all working at different speeds. And so to have a way to extend that for the kids that are finished early, or to give those special learners that kinesthetic sensation that they might need of actually hammering their answer in, I thought that would be great. And then, and then here's another one. This one is just, instead of coloring in the line notes or the space notes, we would just hammer in the line notes or the space notes. So I started experimenting with that. And I had a couple of kids this week try it out for me at school so I could like watch how they hammered stuff. Because again, I haven't tried this with a class yet. And that went pretty good. And so I was pretty confident that I was going to share this with you this week. And so today I asked all of my classes, I introduced the idea, and I said, hey, when we go over pitch names again in our workstations, do you think that this might be a fun workstation? Would it be a boring workstation? Would it be something you'd like to try? And then I pulled out the hammer and the golf tee, and they were like, whoa. One for Mrs. King. So I showed them what the activity was. I had a few of them try it out, and they really seemed to dig it. So I think I'm going to plan this for probably 4th grade in one of my upcoming rotations. So the whole time that I've been planning this, I've also started working on some Hammer Time worksheets. Now, I do have a lot of these finished right now, but until I get a chance to try these with real kids and to experiment and to see what works and what doesn't, I'm not going to put them in my store. Most times before I introduce a product or add a new one, I don't just edit what I've done, but I actually really try it out with real kids, because sometimes they'll find things that I'll miss, or sometimes we'll do an activity and I'll be like, holy crap, worst idea ever. Oh my gosh. So before I put these worksheets in my store, I just need a few more days to try them out and make sure that they're all up to par. But let me show you what we would do with these. I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to turn you down just a little bit. Hopefully you don't look down my shirt, but if you want, that's fine. Might be the most action I've got in a few years. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so this is the foam board, and I would probably turn it long ways, which is what I'm going to do to show you. And the first line says, hammer all of the space notes. So I'm going to take a golf tee. I know you know what's happening, but are you so excited? Oh my gosh. Okay, so it says hammer all of the space notes. So I found an A, that's a space note. And I'm going to put my golf tee on it. And I'm just going to whack it right in there. So I would do that all the way across to all of the space notes. And then what's going to be great about it is that they'll probably be hammering these on the floor of my classroom or on a desk, depending on how I set the rotation up. And so after they've done their whole line, then they would, or maybe they've done the whole page. I might need more golf tees if we do it that way. But after they've done a whole line, they'll be able to take the pegs out and then lay this up against an answer key. And if they have black behind any of the notes, then they'll know that those notes are correct. So they can do a little bit of self-checking. And you'll notice that these are the fresh holes on the pad, but they didn't, okay, that's an old hole. They didn't go all the way through. So you would be able to use these pads quite a few times before you would have to trash it, I would think. And then you might even be able to take maybe some colored plastic wrap and wrap around it a few times and maybe give it a little bit more life to hammer a little bit more into that. So not only are we practicing our music skills, we're also, it's kind of like a hook. We are kind of giving them a little bit of extra motivation to want to get these answers right. Not only because they get to pound more, but also because they're going to check their answers as well. So I do have a set of these. Hopefully they'll be back soon. Oh, and you're right, Amy. Yeah, the OTs are going to love this. I also have in the same Hammer Time set, I also have some things like, do you have my Play-Doh mats that are essentially just one great big treble clef? And then it says, this is the treble clef. It's also called the G clef. And so while they're foaming the Play-Doh, foaming? What am I saying? Oh my gosh. It's been a long week, man. Short weeks are always the longest. Anyway, so while they are forming the Play-Doh into the treble clef or whatever is on there, they're reading a little bit about the treble clef. And even if all they get is this curly Q thing is treble clef, praise you, Jesus, they've got that this is a treble clef, and they don't call it that S thing at the beginning of the music. So, win. So I've got a couple things planned for them. Let me swap this board out. That kind of look like this. So this would be, and this is the screwed up version that my printer printed because demons. My printer has demons, and it's a big, beautiful printer, and I don't know what's wrong with it. But it's a little skewed. But the idea then is that they're going to hammer in these little circles that are down here. And they'll have the treble clef and they'll have the bass clef, and then there are different note values that will be in there as well. But you don't have to have, oh, hello. You don't have to have this worksheet set that's still not out, or any of my worksheets necessarily. You already probably have worksheets that you could easily convert for a workstation. If you do Mad Minutes, isn't that from Recorder Karate? The Mad Minutes, the worksheets like that. You could just say, name all of the notes, and then go back and hammer all of the space notes, or hammer all of the Fs or Gs, or whatever you wanted to do. And that way they're still practicing. They're getting the satisfaction of being able to hammer this in. And I really think that it's going to be enjoyable. The only problem is that you can't erase mistakes with activities like this, because once there are holes in them, there are holes in them. So you could always have them like X through the hole if they didn't mean that, if you were not letting them self-check or something like that. But either way, that I think that would be really satisfying. So take a look at those Mad Minute worksheets that you might have from Recorder Karate. There are tons of worksheets on Teachers Pay Teachers. I bet you have tons of this in your files already, because who doesn't have note naming worksheets already? And you can just add an extra step for your workstation. Name all of the notes and then hammer all of the A's and E's, or hammer all of the space notes, or hammer anything that has a ledger line or something like that. And that will give kids that extra oomph that I think they need. So that's all that I have for Workstation Wednesday today. If you have some questions about this station or some ideas maybe to share with others that are here, please leave them in the comments. And if you have questions, I will try to get back to them as soon as I can. I hope that you enjoyed this little center that I came up with this week. And I will see you next week for Workstation Wednesday.